Hello everybody, welcome back to Anne of Green Gables. Today we're doing episode 4, Anne's History, which is an adaptation of chapter 5 of the book, Anne's History. This is actually one of my favorite all-time episodes of the show, because it has actually one of my favorite scenes of the entire series, actually. But I'll talk about that as we go along. For now, let's just start. You already know how this is. Go link in the description, so go ahead. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, click. In the meantime, let me get the book on hand.
You know, Intro, I don't get it. You're showing Anne still in the Green Gables, but the show is clearly established that she's totally gonna leave the Green Gables.
Absolutely.
That's why I had no problem, Jov. That's why I had no problem, Jov, in showing you that little bit from episode 9, because it's called the book is literally called Anne of Green Gables. It's not hard to put one and one together that Marilla is gonna change her mind.
Because if she left Green Gables earlier, we'd have to call the rest of the show Anne of.
Don't worry. Well, you could call it Anne with an E, I guess.
No, Anne of.
I know we
got rid of
talked
the Green Gables. We forgot to take the off.
I know we've talked about this, but I don't think we ever discussed the actual reason. Like, why in my country and a couple of others the title was changing to Red Adan?
Well, here's the thing, too. I don't know how it translates in Italian, but Green Gables in Portuguese, you say Frontão Verde. And when you try to put that as a title, from the Frontão Verde, it doesn't sound quite as good in that. Again, it's one of those cases where what sounds good in English would not necessarily sound good in other languages. You know,
country, when it comes to actually using names of locations and cities, my country usually actually just puts the original name there, the English name, because it's a location.
There's also the fact. There's also another reason too. It all again dates back to the original Western dub, the German dub, which did change the name to Anne with the red hair.
It might be that.
So basically, it might our two countries too just translated what the Germans did, basically.
Sure.
All right, one actually cool detail that I do like about the mini recap of this, the ending of the previous episode, is how this time they were going to show this clip from Marilla's perspective, Marilla and Anna's perspective specifically, rather than show it from Matthew's perspective like we saw at the end of the previous episodes. That's a nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way. It serves as a nice way so that you get the basic gist of what happened, and at the same time you don't get to see much of the same footage again. There you
go. What was that? That's the thing of all these yelling scenes. How did he hear them?
Because she's yelling.
Yeah, but you can yell as loud as you like. No one's gonna hear you.
I'm pretty sure there's a Parks and Recreation to be made here.
I'm pretty sure Anne is so distraught that she's not exactly thinking about details like that, Dwibs.
Wait, she thinks about details like that ever?
Well,
I mean, she has a violent imagination.
She has
but also probability she might actually.
I mean, she's a very smart girl, Jova, but even she has her weakness moments,
She definitely gives me the sense of being a girl who has her head in the clouds. Not to say she's dumb, but definitely head in the clouds.
Trust me, Jova. You'll see in a few minutes why exactly this is her way of coping.
I don't know. I've heard some flowers hate being flowers.
Well, gee, Jova, maybe the circumstances that led to that point might be a good justification.
Yeah, those circumstances might be traumatizing.
Well, who knows, guys? Maybe all flowers are like that, and you just don't know it.
Yes. And shades are just mindless monsters, of course.
Screaming internally.
But yeah, it's going to be a while.
Guys, let's not forget. In the original...
Okay. It's going to be a while before we reach Mrs. Spencer's house. So Marilla's asking, well, okay. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Yeah, like I don't know anybody who's had red hair and lost that color. And she's like, oh, that's another hope dashed, I guess.
Of course.
But-
Anyway, Gio and Shuri. Oh.
But yeah, we have a few. It's going to be a while before we reach Mrs. Spencer's house. So Marilla think, yeah, why don't you tell me about your life? So I,
Yeah, of course. Anyway, Shuri, Tio, regarding my point, let's not forget, in the original Super Mario Brothers game, technically every block in that game is a toad turned into a block by Bowser's magic. Which means that you
Matt
are...
Harder.
Yeah, Mayo's committee bastard.
Yes.
Sure, why not?
Mm-hmm.
You just know that if this was, more of a modern series, we would have at least the first 9 episodes about Anna's origins, and this would have been a clip show of those.
there you go, Shira. This is the moment you've been waiting for.
Bad memories.
I can't imagine what could be wrong about asking an orphan about her parents.
There you go. Like the book says, Jova, ignorance about it's not malice, it's ignorance.
Yeah, all the same. It's still
Exactly.
to be criticized.
Don't worry, Jova. That's exactly what this scene is for. Actually, there you go. This is the scene that I was talking about.
You're one of those chicas, aren't you?
Yeah, notice the way Takahata directs this scene. It's great.
Anne looks so thrilled.
Yeah, like this is
There you go.
Yeah, fuck this shit, I'm out.
All right. Here you go, Shira. Listen to what the neighbor lady says now.
Oh,
she was right there.
Yeah, but pay attention now. Notice Mola's face right now.
Yes, feel
There you
bad.
go. There you
I
go.
hate life.
There you go. Now both of the. No, this is what I love about this is that now both of them get to cool off and reflect upon what's the recent events.
And now you can talk.
Oh, no, she's gonna leave her behind.
I also love the. I also love the music. Love the music, Mr. or Mrs. Miss Mori or whatever that composer person is. Whoever you are, you're a wonderful person because this is beautiful music. I love how when it focuses on Anne, the flute is the one that's in the focus, whereas when it focuses on Marilla, it's the trombone that has the focus.
Mm-hmm.
She moved.
All right, now listen here. I love this interaction right here. Mwah. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you perfectly execute a scene.
Again, it also helps that these characters act like more like human beings.
Yes, that's what Lucy. That's the whole idea of Marilla's flaws, of Anne's flaws. Lucy wasn't interested in writing good people or bad people. She was interested in writing people.
Wait, you didn't let me answer your question.
Anne's probably already thought up the answer in her mind.
Oh, she actually gets to answer it.
Don't know, and there is a trope that's called calling a rabbit a smurf.
Alright, so let's see what she thinks the house looks like.
Yes, I'm imagining it looks like a beautiful layout drawn by Mr. Hayao Miyazaki.
Who?
Someone who pours sweat and tears to make sure that the drawing was presentable. So just shut up and enjoy it.
I worked hard on this, damn it.
Why is there a frame around you, girl?
Also a stock baby sound effect.
Oh, this one. In a moment.
I managed to come out completely clean out of the womb.
Tell to Hera.
They're biased.
Notice how that was the first
Your
time.
mother.
Notice how that was the first time Marilla smiled while talking to Anne.
Wait, that was a smile?
It's an attempt was made, Jova.
Hmm.
Okay, the voice audio spiked a bit there for a second.
They did what we could, the lives.
It is low-sounding audio, but it is technically audio from...
The 80s.
Was this stuff done in 1979, or...?
No, in a few years later, somewhere in the 80s, based on what we know, because there's a little information about this dub, because...
I can assure you, Lives, that the audio quality of My Country's dub, since it was done pretty much around the same time of the original anime, was even less, technically.
Yeah, because a few European countries got into anime before most of us here in Britain.
But yeah, both parents died, so all the neighbors are like, so what do we do with this baby now?
Wait. Did they die in a car crash?
No, they died of illnesses, because remember, at the time, medicine wasn't exactly... at the time, medicine was in a much more primitive state in comparison, so It was much easier to die of fevers and stuff like that compared to today.
Also, I think obviously I still don't know who the specific voice actor is for the narrator, but it does sound like a British DC Douglas.
Which is funny because DC Douglas already puts on quite a stunning British accent.
How about this too? It's DC Douglas' South African cousin.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the horse
Anne
is
of
just
Green
vibing.
Gables featuring Dante for the Devil May Cry series.
I could
Don't ask
see
me
it.
how it would fit here, but
They'd find a way.
turns out Dante was her father.
And is there a red-haired character in Devil May Cry?
Yes, Lucia, the second game.
They are. They married each other and had Anne.
I mean,
And then for some reason traveled back in time and lived here.
that would not be the
Anne.
weirdest thing we've seen in Devil May Cry, so sure. Though that would mean Anne has the capability of doing some pretty wicked moves, and she should have a
Also, those-
lingering for pizza.
Maybe that's where imagination
Those trees are about to
comes
fall over there.
That's brilliant. Okay, it's official. Anne is the daughter of Dante and Lucia.
All right, here you go.
Hmm?
Mrs. Thomas took her in.
Sure would be a shame if they died too.
Oh. That is James.
You jinxed it, Jova. You jinxed it.
That is James and the Giant Peach level of segue.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus. There's no segue at all. The father punished me needlessly. By the way, he died.
That's actually how she describes it in the book as well. Because remember, this is Anne talking technically.
Mhm.
Also,
Yes, Jordan.
also, special mention goes to how the soundtrack really went. I'm feeling like we're supposed to laugh at that. Like, oh look, the drunk abusive guy.
But I get
Well,
what
maybe
Pedro
not
means.
abusive,
I get the
but,
idea that since it's Anne being the narrator, this will have the way it's spoken like of a child of her age.
Not just that, too. Looking at the visual style of these flashbacks, Hino was a kid when this show aired. When you look at the flashback sequences in the Ni no Kuni games, especially Shadar's flashback in Ni no Kuni 1, I'm very suspicious that there was a lot of inspiration taken from this.
Probably. I think it was a common trick used in animes in general, especially of this time. But yeah, I get what you mean.
maybe.
Of
And then
course.
they died too, didn't they?
It's always the winter, like in Sans Famille.
Fortunately, it was only the husbands who died in these two occasions.
Still,
But there you go.
God
There you go. There you go. At 8 years old, Anne had to take care of like 8 children all at once.
No pressure. Sweat from your mom.
As a result, she was forced to mature a lot faster than your typical child. But eventually an orphanage, so there's that.
So despite being adopted, she was pretty much ousted from the household. I guess to be fair, with that many mouths to feed, they got rid of the red-headed stepchild.
Yep.
How adorable. I mean, Annie is someone that, despite her huge imagination, clearly pays attention and knows the name of
Yeah,
things.
she's about to explain, actually.
Oh.
What's next? Your cousin died in a church? Jesus Christ. They were horrible to you. Got it.
Probably.
Yeah, we got it.
I mean, that's that's the coping mechanism talking.
Yeah.
Really
Again, neither the show nor the book flat out says it, like verbally, but I don't think it's hard to put one and one together and realize exactly why she is the way she is.
Truly, only the best caretaker pretty much ousts the poor child who already lost her parents and got passed off twice already to an orphanage.
As taught by masters like Charles Dickens.
Mm-hmm.
It's good job the father weren't there.
So that makes it okay.
It's a good job the father weren't there. Otherwise, he'd probably say, "Hey, you're lucky. You're the first child in the world to lose your parents twice." Don't worry, I got the gist of it. Bad stuff happened.
Well, that makes me wonder.
It's not so much that, but it was more so the fact that the narrator is basically illustrating Marilla's thoughts right now.
Makes me wonder, though, if they do adopt her, does that mean that Matthew's going to die because he's her father figure? So,
do you think this child is cursed, Job?
Oh my God!
So she is the cursed child. Yes.
Damn it.
J.K. Rowling, you fool!
One particular detail that I love about the way Lucy, and by extension this show, write Marilla throughout this entire episode is that you notice the change in attitude from Marilla from the beginning of the episode all the way till the end, like and illustrated at the end with the narration talking about how she and went silent and Marilla chose not to press her any further. So you see Marilla's attitude change throughout the entire episode, starting of course with that brilliant scene from earlier where she realizes, maybe I should.
To quote Thanos, perhaps I treated you too harshly.
Sure, that works.
So what, does this episode end with the woman getting beheaded?
Hopefully not.
That would be an interesting ending.
Suddenly, what's the character's name again? Sorry,
Marilla.
Suddenly, Marilla lost her head because a wire came down all of a sudden and cut it off.
That's the plot. That's the incipit for Ghost.
Don't worry, there will be no. Don't worry, there will be no decapitations in this show.
Remember, we're in Canada, where there are no murder or traffic accidents.
Totally.
Out of mean cables.
Sorry, Anne, this is not a never-ending story.
Oh. Of course.
So yeah, it may seem like Anne doesn't have to go back to the orphanage because there's another person who could use an orphan.
There's a catch.
Well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
That's what the narrator said. We'll have to wait and see.
All right, and that was Anne's history. One thing I would like to talk about. Okay, first of all, that scene, the scene where Marilla, both Marilla and Anne are on opposite ends, silent, reflecting. That scene is to me such an example of a perfectly executed scene. It's perfectly paced. It's perfectly scored. The movements, like the facial expressions, perfectly sell and tell you exactly what you're thinking without saying a single word. You know, and then it's pontificated right at the very end by using words only for the exact bare minimum. I'm sorry, Miss Comfort, I lost my temper. And then Marilla's like, no, I'm sorry. I'm the one who's sorry. I should have had more consideration for you. So again, it's a brilliantly executed scene. And now this is the part where I'm actually going to say something really cool. What if I told you that scene is not in the book?
Oh,
that scene was an addition by Takahata. That's the interesting thing because the way this episode adapts the Hen's history chapter is pretty much, once again, completely straightforward, exactly like you'd expect, except for that one scene which was added. My guess is Takahata this is when you can tell that we're watching a master at work. He's not just trying to be faithful to you, to add to what you said in the previous episode. He's not just trying to be faithful to you. He's going a step further. He's even going to the point of improving whenever he sees a possibility of improvement. So, and it's such a fantastic scene. Like, and it doesn't feel out of place. Normally when an adaptation tries to add a scene to a book, especially in the middle of such an important chapter like this one, it can backfire immensely.
Yeah. Especially if the addition is to substitute, replace something that was already there.
Yeah, this was a replacement. It was an addition. It added an extra a paragraph to what was already in the book, and it doesn't. It never at any point does it feel like, oh, this sticks out like a sore thumb, or no, it doesn't. Like it's perfectly interweaved into what the book is doing. This is when you can tell this book could not have been in better hands than Isao Takahata. Like, seriously, to pull something like this off takes a mastery skills. We are literally, this is what makes this show such a wonderful thing to behold. We're literally watching an animation god at work. And it's just glorious. Like, that scene, like, it's a scene that to this day I still think about when I think of well-executed, dialogue-free, dramatic scenes that develop characters. But that's about it, really. That's the main book trivia I wanted to bring up, because that scene, the fact that that's the best scene in the episode, it's not even a scene from the book, shows how this adaptation could not have been in better hands. Theo, why don't you?
Sure.
What's your thoughts?
Sure. Pretty much on par with the previous ones. Also, to add also to what you just said just now, it's pretty much obvious if you've been following what I've been saying in recent times, especially. But I'm also a sucker for the quiet moment where it's the scene that he's talking without having the dialogue spoon feeding you over. This is what's happening, you know. So this one is no exception. Again, it's pretty neat. Anna's story is, again, on par with the stuff like, say, Charles Dickens' typical main character, a particular child main character, you know. So it had to be expected, especially for what the time she was raised. And also the gradual transformation that Mrs. Comfort is actually, you know, getting, you know. So yeah, again, pretty neat. Next.
I like this episode. I think it might actually be the best one I've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
Anime.
I can tell Jova.
The additional scene was a nice top off.
As you can probably guess, Jova, being called Anne's history and telling her backstory and being the first major development between these two, obviously it's an incredibly important chapter in the book. So obviously it would be standoffish. It would stand out. So. But go on.
But yeah, definitely a good episode. Looking forward to more.
All right, Dwips.
Yeah, it's a good episode. Like the rest of the guys said, the only thing is that weird sudden shift to my foster father really yelled at everyone for no reason half the time.
Keep going, Dwips. I'll keep
He died getting hit by a train.
keep going, Dwips. I'll see if I can find.
Going up of how funny the music was for that scene.
Keep going, guys. I'm going to see if I can find the exact way she says it in the book. Keep going.
Sure.
Yes, seriously, it's like it'd be like if in Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright summed up his life, and basically it'd be like, my first case was a really routine one. A man committed a murder, and together with the help of my boss Mia, we found out who the culprit was. The next day, she died.
Mrs. Thomas said that they were a pair of babies.
Yeah, that would be quite the shift.
Again, I think it's down to the fact that it's a child telling the story, so they're going to jump around a lot like that. And yeah, I mean, it ended up being a little more humorous than it probably should have been, but the scene was still good.
Yeah, like
carry on.
So they came off like her foster dad.
Oh, here you go.
I mean, he was an abusive drunk, so
Oh, here you go. To answer Jova's question from before, right there, Jova. The mom died of fever when she was just 3 months old. So basically, remember, this was back. Taya, why don't you briefly talk about how hard it was for people with fever in the 19th century?
Okay, it's not even just fever. Up until the 20th century, the risk of dying by childbirth was like at least a 50-50 guaranteed. Even to this day, it's not a complete thing that you can't escape. But back then, like having actually a child was a bigger responsibility than one can even imagine. And of course, after birth, there was a good chance of actually contracting disease like this. And even, like Pedro mentioned, even a common thing like, say, a simple fever could be lethal under the right conditions, which, to be fair, they were.
As a result, Jova, there were a lot of orphans.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Of course.
Like the orphanage business, quote unquote, did not just sprout up like a mushroom for nothing.
Mm-hmm. All right, carry on, Dibs.
No, that's about it, to be honest. Other than that weird transition.
Oh, you go. Allow me, Dibs.
Allow me.
Go ahead.
I'll try to wrap up. But yeah, it is a pretty fun episode overall.
Here's how it's written in the book. Mr. and Mrs. Thomas moved away from Bolingbroke to Marysville, and I lived with them until I was 8 years old. I helped look after the Thomas children. There were 4 of them younger than me, and I can tell you they took a lot of looking after. Then period, and then immediately the next phrase is, then Mr. Thomas was killed falling under a train, and his mother offered to take Mrs. Thomas. So there you go. It's exactly this is exactly how it's written in the book, and the episode is basically just quoting the book literally.
I think what makes it funny though is the fact that funny music is played along with it.
I think it's also a potential cover might also be the English dub due to the way it's fast paced.
There's nothing to suggest that the English dub really changed the music.
I can tell you that the Portuguese dub is not really any different. Like I don't mean
the translation nor the in the actual piece. I mean just the tone and the fastness of.
I get the feeling that's a thing that would even be there in the original Japanese.
Sure. That was mostly speculation.
I can also confirm what Jova's suspecting, that if you go and watch the original Japanese episode too, it's the same thing. She immediately brings up the death of Mr. Thomas. Like Takahata just stuck to how the book wrote it, and that's basically how.
I get it. I don't mind that. I'm just wondering, did they want us to laugh at that because of the funny music? Like, that definitely...
Probably not.
All right. You done, Dwips?
Yeah, I said.
Go ahead, Shirei.
Not much else to say other than it was nice to see these two properly interact. Conversation wasn't exactly cheerful, but it's nice. And, yeah, we'll see where this goes.
For me, it's just, again, it's great. Like, and it's just a great example of of how you can, again, the character development in this book and by extension this series is grounded, realistic, and 100% earned, because again, this is like that scene. Now you know, Shiro, why the first 4 chapters of the book are like this, because if Marilla had been nice to her from the beginning, that scene would have basically zero impact. You know, it's because of the first 4 chapters being like the way they are, and Marilla being ignorant about dealing with children, especially orphan children like that makes that scene all the more powerful. The fact that Marilla has to be broken out of her stupor and realize, no, this is not the right way to handle things. Again, so as a result, she has to grow like an actual person does, instead of just being immediately no. Just to give you an idea, Shiro, there's a YouTube channel called Bad Time Stories TV, and they do a 12-minute sum up of this book, and you know what happens in that book? Marilla's reaction to meeting Anne for the first time is, oh wait, where's the boy? And then, oh my god, you don't want me because I'm not a boy. And then she's, okay, we did expect a boy, but you'll do just fine. Let's cut out all the conflict out of the book. That makes sense. Again, Lucy knew exactly what she was doing when she wrote this. It's all about build up, payoff, and that scene wouldn't work nearly as well if we didn't have the misery, like you guys call it, that we had before.
Oh, it is misery. We're calling it like it is.
You really do like this book, don't you, Pedro?
No, that's the thing, Jova. Like this. Well, remember, I only read the book when I was like 15. I mostly grew up with watching this show. It was only later when I finally got my hands of it on via the internet that I actually got to read the book per se. But no, like so basically, Jova, this anime is okay. The anime taught me everything I now preach about character development whenever we're commenting on something, Jova. All of that stuff you're seeing, why I complain that no, you haven't earned this game, or you haven't earned this movie, or no, you should spend more time having the characters talk. All of that crap that I preach regularly on this channel, I learned from watching this since I was like 5. This show taught me about good character writing, and to me, it's my go-to reference. When I think good character writing, I go to this show, because to this day I've yet to see an animated series develop characters in a way that's so earned, believable, realistic, that feels so relatable and not sugar-coated. You know, it's just so wonderful. I absolutely love this. Yes, so yes, you are correct. All right. Tune in next time, everybody, for episode 5, and you're gonna like this title, Shiroi. Chapter 5, episode 5 of the anime is called Marilla Makes Up Her Mind. And it's an adaptation of chapter 6 of the book, which is also called Marilla Makes Up Her Mind. Yes, yes, I'm gonna keep doing this joke. Tune in for that, everybody.
See ya.
See ya.